Hello everyone, I'm Duke James. This is EU4 Meiou and Taxes 3.0, our testing ground. Alright, I was told that the factions, the influence that you get from the advisors is in here. So that's good. Nice place to look at it. So in our country, the bureaucrats have 0 influence. The aristocrats have control with 60 influence. Spiritualists are rising, but they have 33. Metropolitan have 6 and some change, and there are no chiefs. I believe there are no chiefs in the entire country. So the effects of them holding power: bureaucrats give material cost for projects negative 10%, yearly corruption plus 0.1, and monthly autonomy change negative 0.1. The aristocrats give yearly legitimacy plus 0.1, monthly autonomy change plus 0.05. Spiritualists give stability increase interval negative 10%, unjustified demands negative 25%, and monthly autonomy change plus 0.05. The metropolitans give trade efficiency plus 10%, global trade power 10%, and yearly legitimacy negative 0.1. And the chiefs give land maintenance modifier negative 10%, regiment costs negative 10%, and monthly autonomy change plus 0.2. So just from looking these over, I'd say metropolitans or bureaucratic are who you would want. The aristocratic faction just looks bad, and the spiritualist faction is bad, but slightly better than the aristocratic. And the chiefs, that monthly autonomy change plus 0.2 seems pretty bad, especially since land maintenance has been adjusted and it's not really all that much anymore, since it's dependent on your manpower. So yeah, I'm going to try to get the bureaucratic faction or the metropolitan faction in control. Let's go ahead and dump these guys. There's just level 2. We'll take them. Sure. I think that should increase corruption by 0.1. Yeah. But we should be getting influence, bureaucratic influence now. The other thing is, I was looking at the provinces. Our mines are pretty much developed in the country. The ones that you start with at the beginning of the game. So like the gold mines, obviously this mine is not developed 0 out of 300 because we don't have access to commercialization. But pretty much nothing else in our country in terms of resources is developed. Like this province, Banat, its size for rural resources is 182 out of 1,049. And that's pretty much most provinces. Some are a little more developed than others. This one's 221 out of 672. 96 out of 487. So pretty much you have to develop those industries. I think the estates will do it by themselves, or you could try to speed it up a little bit quicker, throw some money in. Probably my assumption is what you'd want to do is develop stuff around your capital first, and then kind of radiate out like before. The thing is, if you do it yourself, if you put ducats into it, then you should theoretically have control of the resources, which means you get the income from it, but then you also potentially get the loss from it if it incurs a loss because your labor isn't there, or other reasons why you would incur a loss. But looking at the size of the infrastructure actually got me wondering what the largest provinces are for infrastructure, because The max is, as far as I know it, it's max, so you can't actually increase the size of the infrastructure. You can increase the your size up to the max, but you can't increase the max, as far as I know. So I was looking around. Most provinces in Europe, in Western Europe, cap around 1,000. There's probably a couple that go over. I didn't check every single province. But it got me wondering. Ukraine, pretty much the breadbasket of Europe, so I checked these provinces. They have a lot of farmlands over here. So that's to simulate the black earth soil. Like, this province has 1,800 max farmlands. It's a lot. So I was thinking, what is the highest? It's going to be farmlands, because that's just what I saw. This province right here, Sarkel, has 2,756 max farmland capacity, I guess. That is the highest province that I saw. I didn't check all of them again, but of the ones that I did check, that was the highest. So 2,700, which seems insane. I actually flipped to these guys in a different game, and I threw 3,000 ducats in. It took 3,000 ducats to fully upgrade the farmlands to its max size. But then the labor in the province was actually... Let's go over here. Labor supply was like 7. Labor demand was 130. I think we were losing like 200 ducats because we had to pay people. I guess that's... You pay more. It's either you're paying people more or you're paying more for supplies. But we were losing like 200 ducats. But the wages in the province... The wages in this province, the rural wage is 3.6. Because the labor supply outstrips labor demand, so it keeps wages low. The rural wage in this province, once I fully upgraded the infrastructure of the farmlands to 2,756, the wage for rural workers was 40. Or is that 40 ducats? It seems like wages are like between normally 3 and 6, so 40. Those were some rich peasants. Which actually makes sense, because I think that would help simulate the Black Death when the price of wages increased in Europe. So there's a lot more they can do with this system and simulating the economy, which I really like. There's a couple provinces in China that have higher farmlands than Sarkel. I think this one does. 2,988. I think that is the highest one. Again, I didn't check them all, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So yeah, I imagine those provinces are going to, if you develop the industry and you have enough workers, they can become production powerhouses. They become the breadbasket of Europe and the world. I'm fighting a war with Venice at the start of the game. Don't really care all that much for it. Let's go ahead and try to get commercialization. Try not to focus on the military, so don't really care what happens in that war. Let's go ahead and grab just aristocratic advisors. Let's get rid of these guys. I've noticed bureaucratic advisors are far and few between. Yeah, literally just spiritualist and aristocratic. They do not want to give other advisors. Let's go ahead and dump some of these alliances, actually. Don't care, don't care. I want to try to develop pests industries. The farmland size is 211 out of 901, so I'm going to throw some ducats into that. I'll throw 100 ducats. So we should get control of the farmlands. I think 100 ducats shouldn't increase the labor demand that much. There's some Venetian troops forming up north. Do you just want a white piece? I'll just white piece them. There's another thing. The fort defense in Constantinople is 1,000. If the Ottomans try to siege this without cannons, it will give them 200 days siege ticks. The more cannons the Ottomans have, the more this benefit goes down. So that's to simulate the role of cannons in the siege of Constantinople and make sure that that doesn't fall too early. Alright, we spent 67 ducats during the war. I think that's just 67 ducats in general. We lost 800 rural pops. So I think you can lose provinces, you can lose population even without losing provinces, because I don't think we lost a province, but we still lost people. So that's something to keep in mind. And then there is another mechanic, the Knights Holdings and the Teutonic Holdings. So we lose some money because the Knights hold some of the estates in this province. If we wanted to, we could get rid of them by withdrawing support from the Knights. That would cost a whole bunch of mana, would reduce our each other's opinions, and would cost some stability. So I'll hold off on that for now. I don't think it's a whole lot of money. Like in this province, it's 0.374. I'm pretty sure that's yearly, so it's really not that much money. The Knights really aren't swimming in cash, but they do have that stuff in a lot of provinces, so I'm sure it builds up. Over time, I imagine countries will take that decision, so it will decrease the Knights' income. I think they make like 5 ducats. Yeah, they make 6 ducats. So they're making 4.5 ducats. It's not really a huge amount. But it does add up. There's another thing, this, I really haven't gotten into this a whole lot, but these are the taxes. So you can do different kinds of taxes, stuff like alcohol excise, which is a tax on the food industry in the province. There's charter fees, which is a tax on burger wealth. Tax on burger wealth. Chattels tax. It's a wealth tax. So that targets all classes. So something like this province, if there's a lot of wealth in the province, then you could do a chattels tax and tax all that wealth. Which I think there is a lot of wealth in this province. The peasants own 745 ducats, nobles 1,600, and the clergy 1,000. Seems like a decent amount. The burghers and pest actually have 2,150 ducats. So taxing the burghers in this province would be good. How many burghers are in this province? Notice there's not a whole lot of burghers. It's less than 1,000 in pest, but they do have a lot of money. Alright, and then there's rent dues. Cost based on land size, peasant population, and familial estates. I'm not sure. There's no cost to enact them. Well, sometimes you'll get unrest, but I don't think there's any like cost in terms of like ducats or mana, besides actually trying to get to a spot where you can take them. I'll just go over them first, actually. Inheritance tax extracts revenue from the value of the property within the realm, occurring based on the death rate of the local population. So I guess you could try to kill your pops a little bit quicker to tax their inheritance. Doesn't seem like a good idea in the long run, though. Land tax based on land size and resource limit. So I think in Sarkle you'd want a land tax. That'd probably be good there. Noble dues, cost based on noble wealth. So if there's a lot of noble wealth, like this province has a decent amount of noble wealth, you could do that. Poll tax targets the entirety of the population in a truly universal manner, charging a fixed rate per person for every single individual the state can theoretically reach. The burden disproportionately falls on the masses within the realm. So this would be if you have like a high peasant population, you could do a poll tax. That would raise a lot of money. Property tax. Property tax targets the value of a land, usually measured by the average output of property in question. Targets all classes that own property of any kind, affecting both the urban and rural classes alike. So this would probably be good in a province that has a large city and maybe a large rural. Salt excise. Excise on the consumption of salt taxes. The value of all salt purchases within the realm, varying based on the consumption of various classes and the price of salt. So that's like the French gabelle. Similar to it. I don't know. How much salt do we actually... Should be able to find out how much salt you use. Not that. See, I think this is Poland. I think we're still in Poland. I'll just select pest and see if we can check pest out. Because it doesn't actually tell you what you're looking at. Yeah, so I'm not sure what this actually is. I guess it might be our entire country then. Although I don't think we really produce that much salt, because I don't think we have any salt mines. But I'm not sure why I would be looking at Poland still. I did select Poland in the last game, so when it was selected I thought it had that. But then I selected this, so it should be something else, right? I'll play around with that a little bit. The next tax, substances excise. An excise on the consumption of substances taxes the value of exotics purchased within the realm, varying based on the consumption of various classes and the price of exotics. So that's exotics are one of the trade goods in the middle right there. So this province has a stockpile of 14 exotics, purchased 2.3, sold 5.6. So they're actually running out of exotics. I imagine that's once you build cities and you have rich, higher estates, they probably purchase a lot of exotics. Because you're not taxing the sale of it, you're just taxing the purchase of it. Then a timber excise. Taxes the value of all timber harvested across the realm, extracting value from the income of our timber industry. So if you, pretty self-explanatory, you build forests, you grow forests, I guess, and then you tax it. So if you have a province with a lot of trees, you want to do that tax in there. There's tollage, tolls, tax on commerce. So this would probably be good for a city as well, charging any individual that passes through a given location, usually bridges or the walls of settlement. They can affect the volume of trade by reducing the output of commerce industry. And then tribute, which is a tax on the clans. So that would be good for like the White Horde, any country with a lot of clans. So I'm getting the idea that you probably want to keep taxes low, develop industry, and then start taxing stuff. I'm sure there's an optimal strategy in how to raise enough taxes to start developing industries. I'll have to try to figure that out. It's one of those things that comes after playing for a while. And then these things all up here deal with the manpower. So there's conscription on everybody. There's levies, medium, which is on the peasant population, tribal hosts, so tribes, noble levies, citizen service, which I imagine is the burghers or residents, and then volunteers. Also, it's interesting to me that the image for a tribe, the image for nomads, right below peasantry, is a guy with a cap and a red bushy beard. That is not who I think of when I think of nomads. Kind of looks like an Irishman. Though I guess the Irish were in like a clan system for a long time. So that might make sense. It's just weird. It's weird to see that. And then the buildings up here. I think I went over those. But if I didn't, I can do them in the next part. So I'm going to end this part here and then pick it up then. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.